That's a tough question. Right now, there's nothing in our community that has a lock on rent. What I mean by rent control. I mean, it's crazy because I live over here in East Salinas as well. I work over here, and that's one of the main reasons why we have such a high homeless population right now. But what a lot of people are not recognizing is before they get homeless, they become houseless. How many of us know people, or even ourselves, that live with other families because we can't afford the rent? It's priced out of our range. We don't have enough money in wages to be able to sustain the living here, so everybody's renting rooms from other people, and you see families with multiple families living in. The primary family there has a home. They can say, I've got my home, I live here. But everybody else is considered houseless, and houseless is one step away from homeless. We need to be able to work on the rent control issues. We need to be able to work on the economy to be able to provide people a sustainable living wage. And we need to be able to work on expanding affordable and inclusionary housing.
Well, I could work with the city council. I can't do nothing on my own. It's all a team effort. Working with them to see what community organizations like Chispa, what properties the city has as well to expand our low-income housing. I know I myself was a recipient with my family of a Section 8 Housing Authority program, which helped us quite a bit because it was a family of 8 with a single parent, my mom. My father passed away in 1980 in a car accident here in Mark, and he was the only provider at the family. So when my mom had to begin working in 1980, Housing Authority really helped us out, Section 8, where we were able to survive. She was able to pay the rent and have some food on our table. And I think getting programs combined with the city to see where we can expand some of these services. I know there are always issues with funding, and that's always going to be a hurdle. But I guess together with the council, seeing our options would be my first step, and taking any properties that we have to develop and work with community housing programs like Chispa, like I said, to manage them for us and keep housing out there for low-income families.
That's a touchy topic, and not many people want to talk about it, but it's something that's very serious. This area, and we all know because we all live here, is densely populated. You go down to Acosta Plaza, Gardner, there's so many cars and so many people in this small little area that was never designed. It was never designed for that many people. What's happening is you have those who work in the fields, the farm laborers who come in, and they move between here and Arizona typically. And then for them to be able to make a living wage, well, they're not making a living wage, then that's the problem. You have 3 or 4 families living in a small one-bedroom or one-family apartment, and each family's renting out a bedroom, and those apartments aren't designed for that. We have a big issue in the city of Salinas where there's been no construction. We have no new housing developments, although areas are slated for development. There's been no development whatsoever in the last 7 years. And you look at what's happening in the Bay Area with San Francisco, you look at San Jose, and how those rent markets and those housing markets have just gone through the roof. Those who live in the Bay Area are filtering down south, Gilroy, Morgan Hill, and then to Salinas, and that's artificially increasing the rent. So I'm all about rent control, and we need to have a serious conversation at the city council level about rent control so that those who live in this community or who work in this community can live in this community.
Stabilizing housing rent is a big one, and I think it starts with a very radical type of thinking of doing a rent control approach. Go back again to East Salinas, 80,000 people that live here. We're the majority of the entire city population, yet we're the backbone labor of this entire city and county. What we need to start looking at is doing a strong and independent analysis. We have $9 billion industry, $9 billion with the letter B, for agriculture. 80,000 people living in this side of town, we're the one that's paying the highest rents, highest water bills, highest garbage, electricity. The list goes on. And most recently, the city has also passed even more taxes on taxing your own cell phones. So anyone that is 18 and under, you have no choice. You have no voice and vote in that. Your cell phones are being taxed now. Only because, again, of the more tax base and general money that's being funded. What we need to do is start doing a unified effort of looking at housing overall, since we pay the highest taxes. Let the city know this is the new policy for rent control. And we have to be very aggressive and pass that. The city of Hollywood historically has been charging people there, because of the celebrity status and everyone, the highest rents in the country. It kept pushing people outside the outskirts of that city, and next thing you know, they found themselves outside, which is now known as West Hollywood. That is one of the youngest cities in the nation. If you look it up, it's, I believe, incorporated in 1984. When they formed that city in 1984, the main priority and their main thing that they had in mind is, we need to have rent control so nobody can do this to us again because of the property owners. And that was their main focus. They passed the most strict rent control policy in the nation. And they still hold on to that. So for us, if there's a will, there's a way. We can do it. The labor back force, the background of the fields, the farm workers, $9 billion industry, yet we pay the highest rent. No more work. We go on a work stoppage if we have to. No more work until you start providing what's just and equitable to us, and that starts with housing, as well as all these other taxes and everything else we pay. We pay the highest, it's no secret, we pay the highest taxes and the highest assessments than South Salinas, the other side of town, because they're grandfathered in. The history behind this, so I'll give you a quick snapshot of it. 1963 is when the Alisal was incorporated into the rest of the city. They call it annexation. Before that, there was about 4 or 5 failed attempts of elections to get that part, again, East Salinas here where we're at today, Alisal, into the city. Now, why would that happen at least 5 times? Election after election, 1958, 1959, 1960. This is the historical analysis that we have to start making. Why would that happen? Because back then, just like today, that was the majority, the labor backbone again. It hasn't changed 50 plus years after. We're still the labor force today, and we're still the majority today. But 50 years ago, policy has not changed whatsoever. So that, I think that's rent control, can be easily done. We need 3 more votes on the council. I'm strongly for it. It should happen, since majority of our salaries go into housing and other essential needs in the house. Very little to help and support student needs. Very little to support your own family after that. Thank you.
We had to work with everybody. Is the same situation. We had to work with everybody. I don't think it's the government responsibility. It's everybody that lives in the city to work together to be sure that everybody can afford a decent housing. There is a lot of money that is handled out there, but sometimes it's not used the right way. But everybody needs to know what is going on and what resources we can bring to this community. Every single one of us have that responsibility, not just the person in charge, but every single one, from the student in the high school to the person signing the paper.
Our housing stock has really begun to dry up. We are, I'm just trying to remember when Creek Bridge was built. That was the last, that and Williams Ranch was the last major development. And that was part of our general plan. And one of the things we did in our 2002 general plan is we took a very aggressive matrix. And we said to the developers, look, if you build this much, either affordable housing, inclusionary housing, or workforce housing, depending on which you choose and how many of each you build, you're going to be on the fast track for getting your development permits. So Salinas is trying to be very aggressive as we now, and you're aware of the new growth area because it's right across the street, although the eastern part has kind of gone away, but the western part will start. We're going to start building housing there. And yes, we are going to have we're going to have requirements for inclusionary. Inclusionary homes are homes that are deed restricted, so they stay inclusionary for 30 years. Affordable limits, which would be up to 150% of median income, and workforce housing. Okay, so that's the new housing. We're also working with, in terms of more homeless issues, we're working with Mid-Peninsula Housing to build 92 homes in Chinatown, which will be for seniors. We also built another project downtown Hacienda Gardens that is providing homes for families that are Section 8 houses, but they're like Section 8, but they're not. They're inclusionary homes to get families in and off the street. But there is no question that there is not enough housing. And it's something that plagues all of us, all the cities in California. You know the housing prices are going up. But one of the things that we're also looking at is building downtown housing. One of the things that we're discovering is that kids who graduate from, they go to school here, they go off to college, they want to come back and get a job here, but they don't want the traditional housing market. They want to go to downtown, an urban center. They want to be near the train station. We're trying to get the train to come in to Salinas so that we can have that better connection between jobs in Silicon Valley and Salinas, providing houses. We're going to build homes over by, probably condos, over on Market Street by the train station. So we're doing a lot to start looking at how we can rebuild and build more housing that are income, that are directed towards, like I said, low, moderate, and medium or workforce housing.
As you know, unfortunately, the Supreme Court has ruled against most rent control properties. But what we can do to help, and we're working on, is we need to build more affordable housing. We need to build housing all over this city. We haven't built any true housing probably for 10 years in the city of Salinas. We did one apartment complex down on Constitution. They're doing another one now. These are market rate apartments. These are the first we've built. We're working on a project, and it's called the Alisal Marketplace. We're going to move the transfer station out of down there. We have a gentleman that owns the cooler next to it that's going to build probably 500 affordable housing units. By doing so, this will keep those landlords from thinking they have the only goal in town. Unfortunately for us, a lot of our housing is owned by people that do not live here. They hire somebody to rent it, and they're only in it for the money. Down on Rico Rossi area, the Housing Authority has just built another 50 units. They had just completed 350. We're doing some senior affordable housing. And with what Tamora and Anil just did for the farm workers by building 800 units out in Spreckles, we've opened up some housing. And I've already gotten complaints from the landlord that they have vacancies. That's too bad. They should lower their rents. Those would fill up and not have 5 families living in one unit.
So this is a political hot potato. There are candidates out there talking about rent control. There are candidates out there talking about a whole bunch of issues. You know what I think will work right off the top and work real quick and make a big impact? All you have to do is look at our city, south of us, called Spreckles. Tanimura and Antle put up their migrant worker housing for 800 people. The cost is $250 a person for an entire month. It's clean, it's safe, and from business point of view, it is a positive cash flow situation from day one. City of Salinas has land. Could we not already copy something that has worked in other cities? And could we not do it quick? The bottom line is, where there is a will, there is a way. This mayor, the city council, and the city leadership has not done much of anything to focus on affordable housing. Affordability is a big problem in the city of Salinas with the low incomes we're getting. even some of our teachers. If you go to the school board meetings and talk to teachers, some teachers are spending 40 to 50% of their monthly income on rent and phone and electricity. Half their money is gone. The other half is their food, their clothing, their insurance, gas in the car. There's very little money left. Rents, higher rents, are driving people out of the city of Salinas. We need to fix that and attract more people to actually come to Salinas.